Hello, Likers. Welcome back to our channel. It's me, your fave, your one and only, your baby girl, Malika. So, Likers, today we are doing the critical review of Mr. Aloy's series, When Marriage Becomes a Nightmare, episode 16. So, Clara's mom is around. She's trying to, put certain things in place, in as much as she forgets that this is not her home. That the same way that she ran her home, she cannot run her daughter's home that way. So she's trying to find out already, why was it that Jonathan took that job, finding out from her granddaughter, knowing fully well that she has an outspoken granddaughter. So to her, Benita was supposed to have a voice, but she was shocked when she found out that Benita actually told her that her father actually wanted that job. You know, it was not the way her father portrayed her mother to be. That was what happened. Her father actually was the one who asked for that job, and her mother helped him get the job. So the grandmother is not saying that though. What she's seeing, she's old school. What she's saying is that the fact that Clara, collected money from her ex to open a restaurant and look for a job for her husband from her ex, it is wrong. But now you are wrong coming to talk about it to your granddaughter. That is your granddaughter. She is not the right person. Why couldn't you sit your son-in-law and your daughter down to find out how is it possible? But you want to put all the blame on your daughter. And now when your granddaughter is trying to resonate you find her rude. Knowing fully well that that little girl has a mind of her own, you find her rude, and she left the room. So the next thing shows Jonathan, who is back from work after going there to humiliate Hanks, and now he's back playing the victim. He's playing the victim card, showing that Hanks. So he's flipped the script. Right now, what Jonathan is trying to do is to prove a point that Hanks, actually hired him to humiliate him. I hope that Hanks has CCTV, installed in his office. I hope, because he needs to show them this footage. Because Jonathan came home crying, being the victim, telling them these fake stories that he made up. He cooked up a story just to show that Hanks is a bad person. Hanks is not that savior that they thought. He came up with this story of Hanks, instead of employing him as a head of logistics, as he promised, Hanks instead employed him as a cleaner. How can somebody make up stories like that and think that people will not find out at the end of the day? And even his daughter is shocked, like she's surprised, like, Dad, what are you saying? And cooked up this story, a well cooked up story, how Hanks sent his goons to beat him up after he being beaten up by Hanks, because he happens to accidentally spill tea, on some people who came, like a story from the pit of hell, something that never happened. Guys, when you people are getting married there, please, I think it will be best to do a background check. I'm serious. I can't lie. Before I get married, I have to ask my husband's ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. I'm serious. I will track them down to know, because, like, as truth be told, some men, oh God. Because why, if it's not jealousy, why do you want to destroy this guy's reputation? He did nothing wrong by giving you a job. And now you are making up this story. Why? Just because you want to destroy him, like in the presence of your family. This is crazy. And his mother-in-law is going gaga, believing every single word, that is coming out of from his mouth. Whereas he is busy lying, but like everyone is believing what he's saying. Everyone is just believing what he's saying. And now she's ready to fight. Well, besides, before she didn't want her daughter, to do that business, and now this is war to her. This is war. Now she's going to fight her daughter without even trying to find out if Jonathan is saying the truth. And the next thing shows Clara's restaurant. Clients are there eating and playing games, and Clara was on the phone with one of her suppliers for fish, stock fish, and she's trying to make like she has placed an order. She's ensuring that the order comes through, and there her mother goes getting involved again. I don't know, guys. Honestly speaking, we shouldn't normalize mothers dictating how we should run our homes. I'm sorry, I'm not saying it because my mom is late. No, I'm saying even if she was alive, I would have told her the same thing. You cannot dictate how people, the way you run your home should not be the way your daughter must run her home. No, because your daughter did not marry her father, she married her own husband. You were married to your own husband. So you people should, we should maintain that lane, honestly speaking. So she just came there like a mad cow, be spilling rubbish. I'm sorry to say, but that's the honest truth, because some people would just feel like they can just get involved into your relationship and just decide how you run your relationship. No, the fact that you are a mother doesn't give you that right, to want to run your daughter's relationship. And you're going into a public place calling your daughter all sorts of names like she's cheating on her husband. Who does that? Are you a mother or an enemy, honestly speaking? Threatening to destroy her restaurant, threatening to just scatter everywhere and whatsoever. Who are you? What type of person are you? What type of mother does that? No mother who with love would do something. You don't embarrass your kids publicly like that. And Clara just went gaga, made her to understand that, if you insist and you keep on doing this rubbish, I'll be forced to throw you out of my restaurant. Yes, she did well, because her mother is the type that if you let her, she'll push you around. Yeah, she'll push you around. She's that type that wants to control her home and still control another person's home. Yeah, she was shocked the lies when Clara told her, I'll call my security to throw you out. It's not even a joke. Yes, they'll throw you out because you cannot come, into my restaurant and be talking nonsense, be talking rubbish. What kind of nonsense? Really? Some mothers need to be taught a lesson. I'm serious. I love mothers, but you should know your boundaries. It doesn't mean that because you gave birth to kids, to children, it means that you have to control their life. Even when control people's life when they're in your home. Know your boundaries when they are in their home. Yes, know your boundaries. There are things that you should talk and there are things that you shouldn't talk. Don't get involved in her marriage. Get involved if she invites you in. And these are the reason why I can't lie. I used to say that if I get married, I don't want my parents to come to my house unannounced. So the next thing shows Jonathan that is pretending to be depressed instead of saying the truth what he did. No, his daughter is trying to console him. Everybody's looking out for him. Now he's now like a baby, and he will complain. How can you complain because you want to be treated like this? Why would you make up such story when you know it is a lie from the pits of hell? You still make it up anyways, making up stories like that. And now his daughter is advising him to quit his job, and he doesn't want. How can you be mistreated at work but you still want to keep working? Why? If you know that you're being mistreated, you quit. It's that simple. Why are you pretending that you're doing it because you want to provide for your family? If you wanted to provide for your family, you will not do what you did. You will not go to somebody's office, sit there, lift up your legs, on the table and be spewing rubbish from your mouth. Even your daughter knows better than you. So it's obvious that you went there with ulterior motives. You didn't go there because you wanted to work. You went there because you just wanted to cause trouble. Guys, sorry if you can hear me blowing something. It's so hot. There's no electricity. I'm fanning myself, So now he's pretending like he doesn't want to resign. He's trying to fend for his family. He's trying to do this, he's trying to do that. But somebody who is trying to fend for a family does not F up the first opportunity that is given to him. That is not somebody who wants to fend for his family. That is somebody who wants to take vengeance on a man that is trying to help him eat. Somebody is trying to put food on your table, and the only thing you think you should do is to F him up. And now he's saying that, yes, this is what I want. Internally he's saying in his mind, this is what I want. I want to make Hanks be seen as a bad person. I'll make him be like a devil in the presence of everyone. I like, to him, he when he will say those things, his daughter will take it to his wife. Like, this is evil. This is evil. The next thing shows Hanks at home. He's so pissed because of the rubbish that Jonathan did at work. you know his mom came, saw him the way he's sitting, angry. So she tried to find out, and she realized that that guy effed up. And Hanks was very angry because Hanks really had the best. He had his best interest at heart. He really wanted to help him. He never, in as much as he knew that he had ulterior motives, but Hanks wanted to really, really help him. you know so Hanks is trying to understand, how is it possible, like, to him, that somebody who needs help with effing up things like that. So to his mother, it's more like help him from a distance, like look for another job, send him somewhere else. But this guy, and Hanks is right. If he does that, that guy will f up things there, and he'll fall back on him, and he will have problem with the person. But the best solution to this is to cut them off. And his mother is right. His mother is right. And the next thing shows Clara walked in, and Hanks was happy to see her, not knowing that Clara did not come peacefully. The next thing that she did was to give him a slap, because based on what she heard, and she overreacted. Because you cannot sit, you must hear things from both sides. It's true that we are all humans. Sometimes we turn to act that way. But now, I will act that way if I do not know the type of man that I got married to. But at this point, Clara knows the demonic husband that she got married to. So acting out of character for Jonathan, who is nothing else but someone sent from the pit of hell, is crazy. And she didn't even realize the presence of Jonathan's mom. She thought it was just Jonathan. She was shocked when she saw Jonathan's mom. Jonathan's mom played it cool. Instead, she was like trying to find out how Clara and her family were doing, how her husband and kids were doing, just the normal stuff. Trying to be cordial, trying to ease the tension, because she's a mother. She realized that there was a little bit of tension. There was too much tension between them. Like, you could practically cut it with a knife. It was so thick. It was so intense. So she was just trying to mellow down things and all the rest. But Clara really overreacted. Because the man that you got married to, that he's a pathological liar. That he's effed up. You know very well that he's a loser. I'm sorry to say this. So why would you be believing in everything he says? You cannot just believe in things he says just because he says them, just because he's your husband. You have to understand, because now Hanks is wanting to understand, like, why would you think your husband is saying the truth? What makes you think what your husband is saying? What makes you think your husband is right? So to her husband is right based on the fact that this is her husband we are talking about. Where her husband wasn't right, her husband is effed up. But Jonathan is Hanks is very pissed, because to Hanks, Clara has never raised her hands against him. Clara is not a violent person. So to see Clara go all that way, like, it's shocking to him. Yes, he's shocked. He couldn't believe that Clara, of all people, will have the nerve to raise her hands against him. He couldn't believe it. To him, it was crazy. And he was trying to understand if, for all the time that Clara have known him, if he has been the type of being violent, like if he has been the type of wanting to humiliate people, if Clara sees him like that type of person. Because it's not about, people change, no doubt. But if you've known that this person you've known most of your life has never been this, and this person, regardless of the fact that he's your husband, but he's crooked, why would you believe the things he says? Jonathan was very disappointed. But even at that, he still apologized. This is a gentleman for you, you know. He still apologized to Clara for peace to reign. So the next scene shows oh no, it's still the same scene. You know, Clara felt so bad when she heard about the apology. She really felt bad because she couldn't believe that Jonathan was apologizing. Sorry, Hanks was apologizing. She couldn't believe that. She really deep down felt bad. So the next scene shows Clara, who had left Jonathan Hanks's house, and she started regretting it because she realized that, what if her husband was lying? Because she knows her husband, she knows that he's a pathological liar. What if he lied? Look at what she did. Look at how she embarrassed herself in the presence of Hanks's mom and Hanks. How could she have done that? Something that she has never done in her entire life. Yes, how could she have done that? You know, the next thing shows Hanks's mom. That is like she couldn't restrain herself. Like, she was mocking Hanks. She was just laughing. You know, because to her it's more like, mm, Hanks should just give it up already. Like, the kind of love Hanks has for Clara, it's sickening, you know, to her. To her, it's more like Hanks to focus all that energy on building a relationship of his own. And I understand his mother's fears because, you know, sometimes you could love people more than you love yourself. You know, and Hank was so pissed because to him, he has known Clara all these years. That girl has never lifted her finger against him, but for the very first time, she did. You know, he was so pissed that how could she have done something like that? This is something that she had never done in her entire life. What happened? People change. People will defend their family. The only thing I love her mom. I love the fact that she's not standing in the way of her son helping Clara. She wants her son to help, like she wants Hanks to help, but from a distance. Yes, she wants Hanks to help, no doubt, but from a distance. It makes sense, you know, because she's wondering what's next, what is going to happen next. The next scene shows Jonathan, you know, that is in the bedroom, sitting on the bed, pretending to feel remorseful, you know. And Clara is coming out from the bathroom, you know, she's just exhausted, you know, and she's trying to tell Jonathan that if this thing is not going to work between him and Hanks, it will be best for Jonathan to quit his job, you know, because she can't bear to see them. She cannot be like, she's being torn apart, you know, between her ex and her husband, in as much as there is no comparison. But now, what if the person you married is at the end of the day a demon? Yes, because if you look at it, Jonathan does not want this woman to prosper. Yes, he doesn't want her to prosper. Whereas Hanks wants her to prosper because she's a good person. That is when you see that you married your enemy. You marry someone who does not value you, does not even know your value at the end of the day. You know. So Hanks is pretending all along. And for Clara, it is best for Hanks to quit his job rather than sitting there and feeling humiliated by Jonathan. You know. So Hanks also is standing on business, saying that he is not willing to quit. You know, so to him, he would prefer that Jonathan humiliates him than him quitting. And Clara is beginning to ask herself, like, is my husband telling the truth? Because she's like, knowing Jonathan, if this thing truly happened, he would have been the one to be scattering everywhere. Like, what's actually going on? Like, she's beginning to wonder. The next thing shows Clara, that's the next day. She's going downstairs. You know, she's ready for work. She's on her way to work, and her mother calls her. You know, to find out why is it that she's still deciding to go to that restaurant, even though she had told her to stop working. You know, and her excuse was the fact that her husband Jonathan, you know, doesn't like her to work at that restaurant. So she's supposed to listen to her husband and quit that job, you know, because the fact that she's working there, it's embarrassing to her husband. You know, like it's more like, why would you keep working when you know very well that that is your ex's company? Why would you encourage your husband to work when you know it's your ex's company? And besides, why do you still keep that restaurant when you know that you took money from your... So she was just getting in the middle of it. It's just messy, you know. She wants what's her name, Clara, to return back the restaurant, to shut down the restaurant and give her money. This woman is prognosing too much and is getting on my last nerve, because I'm angry. I'm sorry guys, I'm a very passionate person. This is me. I'm so passionate about life. So I get emotional when things like this happen, because I know this is real life, and people, because when these people were going hungry, if you had come when they had thrown them out, you will not have a place to stay. Mother like this will be talking, but they will not have shishi to give you. But their opinion will matter because they gave birth to you. Yes, their opinion will so matter. They are not the one living the situation. They want you to walk in their shadow, walk through their path, whereas they are not the one wearing your shoes. Their excuse is that they gave birth to you. Have to no, 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 no. Yes, you did. You've done your own. I've thanked you. I've thanked you. But sometimes you cannot just step on people like that. You know, So her mother is making her to understand that if she goes to that job, if she disobeys her, she'll disown her. Omo, me, I don't dismother you long time ago. My mother tells me she knew now. Ah, God, I beg. I've disowned you long time ago. What are you saying? Because like us, come on, we should not be using certain words when we don't mean them. You know, you cannot be threatening to disown your child just because she's trying to fend for her family. If you were the one married to that useless husband that she has, who is eating with her enemy, then you will understand. But I love the swift reply of Clara, making her mother understand that she can disown her for all she cares, but nobody stopping her from feeding her daughter. Nobody is stopping her from fending for her family. You know, I love that fact. I like this. I'm a very stubborn person, but in a very reasonable way. And I love people who stand up for themselves, because if you don't, nobody will. I'm sorry, nobody will if you don't. At the end of the day, you'll be the one to wear that shoe. So she made her mother understand that I don't give 2 cents. You know, you'd want to disown me, be my guest. I don't care. You understand? So, like us, we are going to end this video here. Thank you so much. Honestly speaking, like us, we have just one life to live. Yes, it is an honor, it is a privilege that our fathers, our parents gave us life. But that life, they can control it till when we are in their homes, to give us good education, to make sure we grow up well. But once you cross and enter your home, that is your life now. You have to be in control of it. Please don't let people tell you how to live your life. You only have one and you only live once. If your mother has lived her life, okay, now it is your time to live your life. Don't, please, I'm not saying listen to good advice, but when you see some mother that wants to step out, no, don't, please don't. Nobody will tell you how to live your life. Don't. Please beware, like protect your mental health. Okay, don't let marriage or whatever destabilize you. Don't let even family. Don't do that. All right. Take care of yourself. On this note, I'll have to say bye, guys.